coaching staff is the defense. That front seven has been firing on all cylinders. So who better to look at the front seven than one of the best defenders in Broncos history? Simon Fletcher will be joining Steve Atwater down on 27 Hall of Fame Plaza today. We'll get to them in just a moment. But welcome into the UC Health Training Center, everybody. This is Broncos Training Camp Live, powered by Ford. I'm Matt Bouye. Sidney Jones, Phil Milani, Steve Atwater, and Simon Fletcher, the Ring of Famer, will be along momentarily. A couple of quick notes on today's practice. Today's practice is scheduled to last about 2 hours. Head coach Vic Fangio said he's trying to achieve a mix of both install and training camp. Because of the abbreviated training camp that the Broncos have had to endure, they're trying to get up to speed on the installs on both the offense and the defensive side of the ball, but also to get into full pads, as you can see there, with the training camp evaluations that you're typically going to see during a normal year. So a lot of things need to happen before the roster is due on Saturday at 2 p.m. Another couple of quick notes: Michael Ojemudia and KJ Hamler both back out at practice. Just saw them walk out onto the field. We'll see how involved they are coming back, both of them off of injury. Broncos Country, we've been hearing from you guys all training camp long. We can't tell you how much we value you guys tuning in each and every single day. One thing we have heard, though, from Broncos Country is, how do I get involved? How can I be there on week one without actually being there? Well, yesterday the Broncos made an announcement and said for $100, with all proceeds benefiting Broncos charities, you can buy a cutout that will be at Empower Field at Mile High during week one. The cutout, you take a photo of yourself, go to our website, denverbroncos.com/cutouts. All the information will be there. Your cutout will be in attendance during week one against the Tennessee Titans on Monday Night Football. Even though Broncos Country, you guys might not be able to physically be there, we appreciate your generosity and your willingness to be part of Broncos Country during week one. We've also been hearing from you guys on Twitter. Make sure to reach out using the hashtag Broncos Camp, or reach out to Steve Atwater directly at Steve Atwater 27. Let us know where you're watching from, what you're going to wear that first week during week one, the Monday Night Football game. If you're going to wear 27, reach out to number 27 and let him know. Again, use the hashtag Broncos Camp, or reach out to Steve direct at Steve Atwater 27. Time now to get to Hall of Fame Plaza and introduce today's guest. And we've got Ring of Fame ×2 down there at 27 Hall of Fame Plaza. As we mentioned at the top, Simon Fletcher, one of the best defenders in Broncos history. He retired after a stellar 11-year career with the Broncos, 97.5 career sacks at the time. That was the career sacks mark for the franchise. He also still holds the single game sack record with 4. Joining Steve Atwater right now, standing by, is number 73, Simon Fletcher. And Steve, I was watching the tape last night. When 73 lined up on the edge, you could see the fear in the eyes of AFC quarterbacks.
Yes, and we as defensive backs, defenders, knew that the ball was going to be coming out quickly, so we squatted a lot. Simon Fletcher, Carl Mecklenburg, guys hunting, pinning their ears back. Thanks, Matt. Simon, welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you, Steve. And congratulations again on your Hall of Fame selection, induction, and all that stuff you've done. Proud of you.
Well, I couldn't have done it without you guys.
That's what they all say.
So you want one of them diamonds out the ring, huh?
Two
of them. Got you. So, Simon, does this camp look different from training camp back when you played?
Absolutely. Number one, it's only 2 weeks. Our training camp seemed like it went on forever. If they'd have told us 2 weeks, it would have been no sweat. And we were also far away from home in Greeley. And so everything looked like a college campus. We lived in cots instead of sleeping in beds. I think it helped to some degree, but I'd go for 2 weeks in a nice hotel or going home every day.
What was the worst part of having training camp up there? Because I actually enjoyed it.
Well, the worst part of having training camp anywhere was that it's training camp. So you could have put it in a luxury resort on a remote island anywhere, and when Dan Reeves was your coach, it was going to be tough, buddy.
It's a lot of work, huh?
Oh, yeah.
What are the best parts of it? What were the best parts of training camp in Greeley?
I think being removed from your family and bonding again with the guys that you played with the previous year, but also you were able to focus because there were no distractions. It was football from the time you woke up until you went to sleep that night. So I thought that was a plus.
So if you could go back, would you have that same training camp the way you had it in Greeley, or would you have the new updated version of training camp to where, hey, at the end of the day, you can go home to your family?
I think
I think they'll go home to the family. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe they are in hotels. I'm not sure.
I think I prefer the old way because there's a time for everything, and when you're trying to put together a new team, you got a lot of guys trying to make the club for the first time. You got second and third year guys trying to come into their own as an NFL player. So I think the old way was beneficial for those times.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think I probably prefer that too, especially considering all the distractions today with the social media and, all so much stuff going on. To be able to get away from everything and really get focused in, I think is a huge
and for 6 weeks, no honeydews, no take out the trash, nothing.
Well, who does that for the wife then?
The mailman.
You don't want to go home and see the mailman there. So, Fletch, Bradley Chubb, a little bit of a setback. Some people are panicking. I personally am not panicking. When you played, did you have any obstacles like that, injury-type obstacles that you had to overcome?
In '87, I broke my thumb, and they put a hard cast on during the week, and I still had to go through 2-a-days every game of the season. On game day, they switched to a soft cast, and I realized that soft cast, I'd break that thumb within the first series of every game. So after 2 weeks of that, I'd go out, do the pregame warm-up, go down to the goal post, and I'd take my thumb and I'd break it on the end of the goal post. That way I did it.
You would do what?
I'd break it again. It was going to break before the first series, so I said I'd rather break my own thumb than have somebody playing for the stinking Raiders break my thumb today. So I just walked down the end zone, and everybody's walking past, and I just, pow, get it over with, finish the season.
Wait a minute, is that normal?
Whoever said I was normal?
Well, good point. Oh, man. So, with Bradley Chubb dealing with his knee injury, what would you say to him in terms of, all right, the world is not over. It's not the end, you know.
Exactly. And I would say
granted, we don't really know his situation. I don't know anything about it. I don't know if he's, if it's a bigger issue or not. I know when you're going through injuries, though, sometimes you have setbacks and you got to keep on pushing forward, though.
Well, and you have to keep it in perspective. It happened early in training camp, and you've got a long season ahead. So taking some time off now to come back maybe for the season opener or week 4, 5, or 6, whenever Bradley Chubb steps back on that field at 100%, he's going to make the Denver Broncos as a defense and a team better. So just be patient and keep your confidence up.
Yeah. Team is dealing with COVID-19. Well, the whole NFL is. What did you ever have to deal with anything on this level? I know you didn't.
No, the worst we
none of us did.
No, we never imagined this. But the worst for me was flu season because I'm terrified of hypodermic needles. So whenever Steve Antonopoulos would start administering flu shots, I'd duck and dodge, and then finally he'd come in and say, "Hey, Fletcher, you go get your flu shot?" I said, "Has everybody else gotten it?" He goes, "Yeah." I said, "What about people upstairs?" He says, "Yeah." I said, "Then nobody can give it to me. I'm not doing it." But
I mean, it wasn't required anyway, was it?
I didn't know, but he kept after me, and I'm like, brother, I'm not taking an inoculation of any sort from anybody because needles make me nervous.
This is the needle. It wasn't really the.
It may have been the stuff in it. I didn't make it.
Oh man. Do you get flu shots now?
I've never had one in my life, and I've never had flu.
Hey. If it's working.
Yeah. If they get it in a pill form, I might try it.
There you go.
I don't know how the guys deal with the idea that you're at the center of a huge fan base, particularly in Denver and in Colorado. And so to be distanced from the fans, I think is going to be a tough deal to overcome. Because that 12 man when I was playing in old Mile High Stadium, boy, those South Standers and the rest of them, when the game was close, they gave you the energy and increased your willpower to keep pushing. So that aspect is going to be interesting for me from a spectator's point of view. Is how do you do it when one of the groups of people that you play for are the people who support the NFL and support the Denver Broncos and what you do. So to have them absent, I think is going to be challenging in tough, close games.
Yeah, I imagine that as well. I mean, I imagine, hey, we've been playing football in front of large crowds ever since college days.
Yeah.
For you, maybe even high school, because I know Texas football, the high school is on a whole nother level. But, to have to go out now and really not see many people in the stands is going to be super duper different. And the guys going to have to find different motivations. They used to use the crowd as motivation. They have to find something different.
Absolutely. But the one thing that delineates a game from practice is the presence of 70,000. And so from a mental standpoint, you're just going to have to realize that your teammates and the fans, though absent, are still counting on this team to deliver a great performance and hopefully come out with a win.
Number 27, Devontae Harris, appeared in all 16 games last year, 2019. He's in the battle for that third cornerback position. I think Devontae Bosby, Isaac Yadam, you got a nice battle going on there. I think Duke Dawson Jr. as well.
Well, they're all great athletes, and they work hard. And when you've got a third and a potentially fourth pushing, that makes your starters better because they know the guys coming up are real ballers, and you'd better be on your best or one of them will slip in.
Yeah. So, on offense, did you consider the quarterback the most important player on the field? Drew Lock?
Well, when I was playing, I considered the outside linebacker most important.
Well, I was going to ask you that. Who do you think the most important player on the other side of the ball? Do you think on the offensive side, though, the quarterback is?
Well, I think to any observer, once Drew Lock became the starting quarterback last year, this team took on a whole new complexion. Everybody was once again excited. We'd had two disappointing seasons prior. This season looked to be going the same way. And Drew Lock stepped in. And what I noticed from a distance is that the entire team embraced him as their leader. Mm-hmm. And they played harder for him. So the team finished real strong and got me, and I hope a lot of other people, excited about this coming season.
So on the defense side of the ball,
well, I'm a 58 fan. Von Miller's my little brother, and he's the leader of this defense, whether he does it verbally.
Well, see, you're going to say that just because you guys both have a bunch of sacks.
No, it's not the sacks. It's
sacks and leadership.
Look, we both got our starts in the great state of Texas, and then we were fortunate enough to be drafted by the Denver Broncos. We just got so much in common, least of all our sack ability.
Oh, man. So, Fletch, did you have a favorite play from your career? Like one play that when you're up at night, you think about like, man, that was the perfect play.
Yeah.
Walk us through it, man, in vivid detail.
Okay, so Joe Collier had this defense that he called the Joker. And he'll never admit it, but I know he was referring to me. But in the Joker defense, I lined up in a three-point stand at the defensive end position, and I would take a step and a half forward, pivot, and then drop into coverage. We're playing the Raiders Monday night at Mile High. My college coach, Bill Yeoman, was on the sideline in attendance. Mm-hmm. So Joe called the Joker. I stepped, I turned, and I saw the tight end looking at me as I'm coming back, but the quarterback wasn't paying attention. He thought I was rushing, because that's what I did 95% of the time. And he lobbed the ball, and I jumped up and caught the ball. Interception on Monday Night Football with my college coach and friend Bill Yeoman right there with us.
Wow. Did you score?
Man, my return yard, I got 2 interceptions in my career. My return yard average is 4 yards per return. And recently, while I was playing with my grandson in Texas, we were standing and just falling forward. I fell exactly 4 yards. That's my return average.
Hey, that was a good play, though. Good play. Now, I've talked to one of my friends. He's in the coaching and that, and he called me up. He's like, Steve, what goes through your mind? Just say, all right, you're in the huddle, you get the call from the sideline, or you're in the huddle, you get the defense. What all goes through your mind? How many things happen before the actual play starts?
Oh, that's
tell me your process, and I'll tell you what mine.
Okay, well, early in my career, they moved me to linebacker at training camp my third year after a week of practice. And so for that preseason, my first thought was I'd ask Rick Dennison, Rico, what do I do?
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did. I had always been going upfield, and suddenly there are instances where I have to drop into coverage. And so until I got familiar with it, Rick Dennison and Jim Ryan early on, those guys were lifesavers. But once I figured out what I was doing, they'd make the call. I'd quickly recall what my responsibility was and get to the line of scrimmage because I think it's a great call for the situation. Let's get out here and make something happen.
That's all?
That's it.
Come on, man. That was easy.
Steve, how much time do you have actually? Maybe you think faster than I do. I don't know. But, I mean, you got a couple seconds, dude.
No, man. I used to get the call out of the huddle.
Mm-hmm.
I look over and say, all right, what's the down and distance? And then I try to go through my mind, what are some of the plays, the tendencies, the things that they did in this type of situation?
Okay.
And then you got to look and see, all right, if it's a left call, you got to look and say, all right, where's the tight end?
Yeah.
To see what side you're going to line up on. Because most of the time, as a free safety, I lined up opposite the tight end. So if tight end's on the left, I line up on the right. Tight end's on the right, I line up on the left. So I get that. Then I'll try to get eyes on the quarterback to see, all right, is he trying to read me? And I try to disguise the coverage. If he thinks I'm going to be up in the box, I try to get back and show cover too. If he wasn't really looking at me, I just go ahead and try and get into my position.
Okay.
And then I'd have to normally communicate with our corners to make sure we're on the same page in terms of the coverage. And sometimes just say if we're playing against a team and it's 3rd down and 8 and they got say Michael Irvin over there on the right and some other receiver don't know on the left, well, there's a good chance they're going to try to go to Michael Irvin. So I'm telling my corner, all right, I'm going to give you some help, and I'm telling another guy, you may be on your own this time.
Okay. That's pretty deep.
Yeah, there's a lot, but a lot of stuff, it happens, a lot of it happens so quickly. And talking through it with my buddy, it made me realize, man, we can go through a lot of stuff quickly, before play starts. So I want to hear from your.
Well, but while you're telling the guy I'll give you help with Michael Irvin, I'm up front thinking if I put the quarterback on the ground, everybody's good.
Yeah.
And the fact that you went through all that process explains why we're both in the Ring of Fame, but only you are in the Hall of Fame.
But you didn't. I would imagine at the defensive end position, you probably didn't have to think about all that anyway.
No.
You just had to get to the quarterback.
Didn't matter. Well, it could have been a run, so.
3rd and 8, not normally.
Yeah, man, draws and shovel passes.
So, Fletch, did you what was the highlight of your career?
The highlight of my career, there were 2 highlights. The first time I put the Denver Bronco uniform on and walked onto a field during a regular season game, that was this. It was a culmination of a lifelong dream. And all of a sudden, here I am. I wasn't a starter, but I had a role to play on special teams. I had some nickel responsibilities as far as a pass rush, so I could figure out how to rush at this level. So that was the biggest. And then I would have to say the second biggest was sitting in the locker room, because if people don't know, I determined before I started playing when my career was going to be over. It was either going to be 10 years or the end of my 3rd contract, which was 11 years. And as I sat in that locker room, we were down the 3rd head coach. We'd had Dan Reeves, my first 8, Wade Phillips for 2, and now Mike Shanahan is here. And I'm looking around that room, and it was a melancholy moment, kind of sad, but I was sat there and I was thankful for the guys in that room and what they had contributed to my life, both on and off the field, because we were more than just teammates. We were family, we were neighbors, our kids hung out, and so the best moments were the beginning and the end, because the end then launched me into what's next.
Yeah. And back then, especially when you first got into the league, up to your first 4 or 5 years, guys who were drafted to a team normally stay with that team for duration, for a great majority of their career.
Right.
And things started changing right at 88, 89, somewhere in there, with the free agency and that. Did you like free agency?
Well, I never benefited from it. My last contract was negotiated the year before full free agency came into being. But after I retired, Ray Rhodes from Philadelphia came, and I went out, and I was thinking about playing, and they offered me an amount of money that was the equivalent of my first 6 years combined.
Wow.
For 1 year. But I came home, talked it over with the family, and I told them, I said, I've never wanted to play for anybody but the Denver Broncos once I came, and I said, my biggest fear is I go to Philly, I play a year or two, and Denver shows up on my schedule. I said, it'd be real hard for me to lay hands on John Elway.
So you would have had to do it, though, huh?
No, I wouldn't. I decided not to go and not to play. I said,
Okay.
I started a Bronco, I'll retire, and
Because you didn't want to sack John?
No, I just didn't want to play for another team.
Yeah. No, that's special. That's special. Showing Isaac Yadam there.
Yep. Looking
Third-year
good.
cornerback out of Boston College. He's in a battle right now for that, like I said, that third cornerback position. What do you think about our corners?
I think there's as athletic a group as we've had. I think there's a lot of aggression in them. They're intelligent. When you watch them practicing on the field, they go from one read to the next. They're able to transition as the play develops, and that's going to make us very strong against the pass this coming year.
Yeah. And A.J. Bouye there, coming over from the Jacksonville Jaguars. Just, saw yesterday that, the Jacksonville Jaguars let go of Leonard Fournette, their star running back, young running back. And I thought A.J. Bouye was a young guy, 6 year, I won't say super young, but right in the prime of his career, that has the talent, but I think in a better situation, better leadership, that he could prosper. And I'm hoping that's what happens with him here. And I've seen a lot of those guys. They have had a ton of talent down there. Jalen Ramsey, same situation, extremely talented guy. Environment, though, he still thrived. He still played extremely well.
Yeah.
But I don't think he was the best person he could be down there. And I think the environment was just wasn't the best. So
he's in a great environment. Let the games begin. It's time to play. No, NME, we used to say, no more excuses. Let's get her done. You're a pro.
All right, Fletcher. So, which quarterback were you kind of had their number? Where you played them like, all right, I'm getting some sacks, and it may not have been because of the quarterback. It's probably more because of the blocking by the tackles.
Well, I had great success at San Diego. Any of the Raiders quarterbacks, and whenever we would face Cleveland, Bernie Kosar used to tip. He would signal to his receivers because they had the no huddle. So he would raise his foot just before the ball was coming out, and I saw it in film. And so whenever that foot would come up, I'm off to the races. And they had some big linemen, but they were all big. They just weren't quick enough. Seattle, San Diego, Raiders, our division opponents whenever I saw them on the schedule, I said, you got to get the guy on the ground, make him know you're here, because that helps out the guys behind us in the secondary. They support us on the run and do an incredible job of that. We have to support them on the pass. If we don't get the sack, make them rush it, get your hands in their faces, but help the guys behind you.
Showing your guy there, just Von Miller there a second ago. Now we got the cameras on Jerry Jeudy, the star wide receiver. He's a superstar at Alabama. I think he's going to be a superstar at this level too.
I agree. I think he and Drew are going to be like John and Shannon, John and Rod. I think we're going to see some flashback between the quarterback and the receiver with these guys this year.
And KJ Hamler, second round wide receiver out of Penn State, tweaked that hamstring a week or so ago, and he hadn't been able to practice. He's missing some valuable time, but I'm sure he's getting the mental reps in. So when he's able to get back, hopefully he'll be able to pop back in there and be that threat in the slot that I think he'll be. What do you think about the weapons? You think we have adequate weapons on offense?
I think there's no doubt we have the weapons. We've got the confidence, and coming off that finish from the previous season, I think Drew Lock is going to show us some things. You've seen it here in training camp. His confidence is off the chart. He totally believes in himself, but equally as important, he believes in the guys around him. And in this past draft, I thought this was the best draft in a long time, because they not only drafted for need, but they found great athletes to fill those needs.
Yeah, I agree, and good guys too.
Oh yeah,
good guys that I think all the guys get along really well. Albert O, the tight end out of Missouri, who was Drew Lock's one of his main targets at Missouri when he played there. Those guys have kind of picked up where they left off, at least here in training camp. And I think we'll see that carry over into the season, too. Those two guys are just really in sync.
One of the things that I've noticed since Coach Fangio got here, he, John, and Joe Ellis, they've created a culture of family among the team members. When you see these guys out, you can just look at them and tell they like each other, they love working for each other, and they want to see each other be victorious, and they'll do what they need to try and make it happen.
Do you think that's important, that you like your teammates?
Well, I mean,
they're going to like all of them, right?
There was one guy I had a real tough time with, but then he made a hit on Christian Okoye, and that changed the whole deal for me. But other than that, I've gotten along with all of them.
So before that, you ain't like, come on, Fletcher.
No, man, you're a good guy. You always been.
Oh man, we owned the property together, man.
Yeah, we did.
Wish we still owned it.
Yeah, you and me both, brother.
Yeah, those was good times.
Those good days.
Deontay Spencer, punt returner and wide receiver.
How does he compare to Rick Upchurch, punt returner?
You know what? He's a good one. I mean, he's got great hands. He's not as big as Rick was, and but man, he's got the speed, got the burst, and I'm looking to see what he can do in his second year here. Now, Rick Upchurch is a special guy, though. I mean,
yeah,
it's kind of hard to compare people to Rick Upchurch.
I just want to know, man. I wanted to see if you were going to try to fluff. We got to. If we get the special teams in sync, I think the offense and defense are ready to roll. And however this season ends up, if we get a vaccine, if people can return to the stands, that'd be great. But at the end of the day, it's going to come down to these guys right here to determine how this season goes and whether or not we start resurging to the place the Denver Broncos belong, and that's in the playoffs and in the hunt for the big show.
Yeah. Watching the tight ends block the edge rushers over there on the far field. Man, that's always a fun drill to watch. Phillip Lindsay going up against Joe Jones there. Nice block by Phillip Lindsay. A lot of people think because Phillip Lindsay is small that he won't stick his nose in there. Phillip Lindsay stick his nose in there.
Absolutely.
He's going to get dirty.
The guy is fearless. But we have to be careful that we don't hurt the little guy, that we don't shorten his career. So the other guys got to step it up so Phil can take some breaks. Because when he's in there, man, he's 100%. He's pushing for every yard, every inch. every millimeter he can get.
Yeah. Did you like doing those drills one-on-one against the running backs?
I didn't like doing any drills. Are you serious?
Come on, Fletch. Yes, you did.
I like lunchtime.
We all like lunchtime, but when you're out there on the field and you got to go against a running back,
I tell you what,
or were you afraid? You're like, oh no, I got to go against the running backs.
Afraid, Fletch. What I used to like, I used to like the 3-on-3, 4-on-4 where you did the half line or the 7-on-7, because then you could see where you and the nose out to the corner and safety on that side.
Working together.
Yeah, you get to see the group in segments, and then you put it together, and you know, man, this season could be special.
Yeah. No, you're right. I agree. Sometimes the man one-on-one doesn't give you a realistic picture, because once you get on the field, it's not going to be like that. You're going to have other guys in the way. You can't just run wild, get things, inside or outside. You got other guys there, so more realistic.
When we used to do one-on-one pass rush, I used to lick my chops. I mean, we had formidable, respectable, talented offensive linemen, but I honestly didn't believe any of them could beat me consistently until we got your fellow Hall of Famer Gary Zimmerman in here. Boy, one-on-one took on a whole new complex.
What happened? What happened there?
Man, Zim and I would beat each other almost to death, and one day he pulled me over to the side. He said, Fletch, we can make this easier. We can kill each other and not be able to play in the game. I said, Zim, let's try easy.
Yeah, so you guys took it easy on each other?
Just on one-on-ones.
Come on, Fletch.
The team stuff, we were all out.
Okay, all right. Well, hey, great stuff, Fletch. We're going to toss it over to Phil Milani. He's with linebackers coach Reggie Herring.
Are we done?
Steve, thank you very much. Reggie, your position group has been hit the hardest by injuries. How have you guys had to adjust, especially in a condensed camp like this?
Well, right now, first off, the injuries, the loss of Justin for the year with the wrist was really a big blow to us as far as the plans we had for him and helping his football team. He'll be fine. He'll come back strong. Todd's injury is not so serious, so we expect him to come back raring to go. Overall, the adjustment is everybody tighten their belt and have to hold themselves to a higher standard of execution, and we're all in this together, so we got to pull our belt tight and make sure that who's in there is capable for winning for the Broncos.
You brought in a veteran in Mark Barron. What kind of role do you see for him?
Well, right now, the thing that he has is he's got experience. He's played in the league. He does give us some cover ability at the dime position in our nickel package. So that's what we're primarily working him at right now, because the time frame for his learning scale is like now, not now, right now. And so we put it on fast forward. It helps that he is a veteran. He does have some cover ability, like I said, and so we're hoping it works out, and hope that his contributions will be felt, and we'll be all excited.
Before he got hurt, it seemed like Todd was going to have a really big year. What did you see from him in that first week?
Well, Todd is on full cylinder. He's a year now into the package. He understands everything. He's been kind of the heartbeat of our defense as far as getting people lined up, making checks. He does a little more than just show up for work. He's somewhat had been the quarterback of the defense, along with Justin in the secondary. He plays an integral part in our defense. He's important. We feel confident we're going to get him back soon, and hopefully we'll just keep on going. Take Mark Barron, and hopefully his skill set will help us in our nickel package, and we'll be better off in the long run.
Todd's just like me, does more than just shows up for work, right, Coach?
That's right. You're Superman, from what I hear.
Reggie, thank you so much for your time. Let's go to Sidney Jones.
Thank you.
Thanks for that, Phil. Now, Broncos Country, if you're just now tuning in, we are doing social media giveaways on our live show every single day. And today it's time to announce the winner from yesterday's show, which was a signed football by Steve Atwater and Nick Ferguson. And that prize winner is Daniel Lamont. Congratulations, Daniel. Now, Broncos Country, no worries if you haven't been selected for a prize yet, because like I said, we're doing a giveaway every single day. And today's giveaway is another signed football, this signed football by Steve Atwater and his special guest today, Simon Fletcher. So if you want to win this prize, you must be following the Broncos on Twitter, and then you must go and retweet the post about this prize. We'll be announcing the winner on tomorrow's live show, so make sure to tune in again. The Broncos Country, another way to be featured on our live show is to tweet at us using the hashtag Broncos Camp. We'll be featuring tweets throughout the next couple days, so make sure to be on the lookout for those. Now, another day of training camp means another Broncos camp confessional, but this time it was Elijah Wilkinson who detailed his camp experiences despite the hurdles of COVID this year.
Hey, Broncos Country, Elijah Wilkinson here, right tackle. This is my camp confessional. Camps were going really good, despite all of the, the masks and testing, guidelines, and 6 feet distancing, and all that. But when you get to the football field, it's mainly just football. So I think that it's been going very well. I think we've been progressing every day, get better. So just getting closer and closer to Monday night. It was different, I was like, wow, I'm coming to practice, but I haven't been out on that field since I had got hurt. So, it was a little, different, a little emotional for me, but definitely good to be back out there, especially no fans and all of that. It was just like super weird and eerie because usually we have fans at that practice. So it was a little weird, but it was good. I felt good out there. It felt good to be there. I'm Elijah Wilkinson. Thanks for watching my camp confessional.
Now, I know all of you at home can't attend training camp in person this year and can't see some of your favorite Broncos players, but you all have been doing a great job hyping up the team on our virtual fan cam every single morning as they step out onto the field. Take a listen to what you all had to say this morning.
Go Broncos! Go Broncos! Go Broncos!
Another change with COVID this year is that the school year is looking a lot different for most students than what they're used to, but the Broncos are still doing their Back to Learning program. The Broncos have partnered with Volunteers of America, King Soopers, and 9 News to help fundraise and distribute school supplies to different school districts, families, and students all across the state of Colorado. If you want more information on that and to learn how to support, you can visit the website on your screen. All right, Broncos fans, we're going to take a quick break, but don't go anywhere because when we come back, you'll be joined again by Steve Atwater and Simon Fletcher.
Training Camp Live, powered by Ford, is brought to you by All Copy, Empower Retirement, King Soopers, and FanDuel.
All right, welcome back to Training Camp Live, powered by Ford. My good friend, special guest, Simon Fletcher. The sack leader for a long time, Fletch.
Nearly 25 years.
That was a long time.
Yes, sir. I don't feel a day over 80, though. Look at me.
You still look like you can play, though.
Looks are deceiving, brother.
I'm saying, you really do.
Thank you. It's all those sit-ups and push-ups I do. Yeah. Yes. Can't go wrong with barbecue.
Yes. A little bit of barbecue there. Yeah, I need to hear about that a little later. Look at the offensive lineman here. Got some team drills. And just so everyone knows, we're not showing any formation, any plays. We're getting close to game time. And we're not going to really even talk about which people are in the starting groups. You know, who's the starting offensive line, who's the starting defensive line. We'll find that all out on the 14th, Monday night, versus the Titans. I think you'll be happy, though. I think you'll be happy. But we do got battles here going on right in front of us. The offensive line versus defensive line. And, you know, you got 2 defensive linemen down. You have the full 5 offensive linemen. They're working on basically how that offensive line fits together and the defense on their different stunts. And that's a very important part of playing offense, having the offensive line on the same page. What happens when the offensive linemen aren't on the same page, Fletcher?
When the offensive linemen aren't on the same page, you have a 225-pound defensive end from Houston get a lot of sacks on you. And when they're playing as a cohesive unit, the guy goes and starts to bulk up because he knows he can't get through, because you've got guys that are working as a unit, whether it's run or pass. I'm looking at the offensive line now, and I've watched them, you know, for several seasons. And the thing that I'd like to see this year is consistent cohesiveness during the game from start to finish. I'm excited about this being Cody Reisner's second year. He's a hard. Dalton Reisner. He's from Wiggins, out northeast Colorado.
Yeah, you up that way.
And I lived there next door to him in Fort Morgan for a few years. But I watch him, and he's a workhorse. I hope he can move into more of a leadership role in this his second year, and bring that country farm work ethic and consistent work ethic to the guys around him. And if that happens with the talent out there, the offensive line should be impressive.
And he's done that. I mean, he's definitely one of the young leaders on the team. Came out, had a solid season last year.
Yeah.
I think that's, you got to play well to be a leader on the football team. You can't play poorly and get up in front of the team and say anything, because the guys, they just aren't going to respond the same way.
Right, exactly. But it's tough to do it as a rookie, because you're still figuring things out. And I think he has enough respect for the guys who were here when he arrived. But this year, I think Cody's looking at the close of last season, and he's saying, hey, we got potential to really do something special here. So let's be the strongest unit. If each unit on that team, offense and defense, decide we're going to be the strongest unit on this team throughout the season, then I think Bronco fans are going to be very pleased when it ends.
Now, when you were going up against an offensive line, could you tell from film study when offensive lines weren't a cohesive unit?
Oh, absolutely. You could tell, because you'd see big spaces, you'd see gaps on the run, you'd see maybe the defensive end turned out or pushed in, but you'd see a missed block on a inside linebacker, or nobody taking responsibility for the safety coming up for support, or the corner on the containment. Great offensive line, they cover their men, and they cover them well, and they keep the legs moving until well after the whistle. See, when I see a guy who makes the initial contact and all of a sudden he goes limp, I said, boy, it's going to be a field day today. I'll beat him like a drum.
Yeah, what do you think about this guy, Mike Munchak?
Mike Munchak he's one of the all-time greats. His hair is much more gray than mine. His is almost white. So being that we're in the same age group, whenever I see Mike, I feel fortunate to have played against him. Enjoy watching him play when it wasn't against us, and he makes me feel 10 years younger than I actually am.
Oh, man, heck of a player, and I think a great coach as well. What do you think he can do with this offensive line? I mean, we got a couple of new weapons. Lloyd Cushenberry, the third-round draft choice out of LSU. Graham Glasgow, who I think is nursing an ankle injury right now. And then because Jawan James is out with COVID, well, he's on the COVID list. No, he's not on the COVID list.
Who is that wearing numbers?
He opted out of the season. He decided he wasn't going to play this year. Got Elijah Wilkinson, so got some new guys he's going to be working with there. How difficult is it for him to, kind of make these pieces work together?
I don't think you could have a better guy all around when you have a position coach who not only played the game but played it for a long time, played it well. He already garners respect from the guys when they look and see his name, and I'm sure they Google and when they first meet him, I think they check out his resume, and you have to be pleased. And from a coaching standpoint, Mike knows personally what it's like to have to suck it up when you're banged up, bruised up, the season's getting long, it's hot, it's cold. So he can convey from a personal experience like no other. So who would you rather have? I'll take Munchak for $200, Alex.
Right. And Coop, he's Broncos player, Bronco alumni as well, on that offensive line helping out. Really good at relating with the guys. Did you prefer playing for a coach who had some experience in the NFL? For me, I found some coaches who played that could coach well, and there are others who couldn't. They couldn't really explain what they did. So I don't know. I don't know how big of an advantage it is for some guys to have played, because some guys can't explain it. What were your experiences with that?
Okay, first let me answer your first question first. When you talk about Coop, I remember fondly the first time I had a chance to speak with Coop. It was just before a game here in Denver. And I walked up, I shook his hand. I said, "How you doing, buddy? I'm Simon Fletcher. I used to wear your number." He says, "No, I'm wearing your number. What a privilege." And so from that, I liked him from that point on. Not that he was sucking up to me, which he probably was a little bit, but people who are respectful tend to go a lot further in life. And from the coaching standpoint, I started with Stan Jones, who played for the Chicago Bears back when they wore leather helmets and rode horses to away games. And so Stan's perspective in the game, when it was in the trenches, gutted out, I mean, you're punching, you're kicking, you're doing whatever. Stan's experience was good in the meeting room. But I think some of the coaches who've never played or perhaps haven't played since high school, I think the education and the internships that are available to them now make them as good a coach as any who's played. But as a player coming out of college, boy, when you're Mike Munchak, your GM's John Elway, this could work.
Oh, yeah. You got some guys. Now, Stan Jones was your coach, defensive line. So they considered you defensive line or a linebacker?
I was D-line when I was drafted, D-N, until I walked in at 223 pounds. They tried it for 2 years to fatten me up. I was eating everything. Man, I was eating paper, styrofoam, anything I could find, and I'd lose weight.
And, Jarrell Casey.
Oh, yeah.
Coming over from the Tennessee Titans. He's a solid defensive lineman, defensive end.
And he should be very motivated come Monday.
Oh, yeah. Going up against your former team. And he played well. Last 5 years, 5 Pro Bowls. For me, I don't understand how you can let a guy like that walk. And then knowing the leadership that he brings to your locker room, too.
Well, I think you have to know their numbers and their cap situation and what their plans are for this year and going forward. Maybe they couldn't fit him in the budget.
Yeah, well, hey, we're welcoming here. We're welcoming him here.
Absolutely. Welcome home.
Yes. Got Noah Fan over there at tight ends room. Did you line up over tight ends a lot, Fletch?
I did. San Diego used to do that deal where they had the 2 tight ends on my side trying to stop me, but one of them was Rod Bernstein, who later came here and played running back. And Bernie was scared of me. I looked in his eyes, and all I saw was fear. So I'd ignore Cox, the tight end, and I'd go for Bernstein. And when he flinched, I'd throw him into Cox and go around the corner.
Oh, man. Funny story about Bernstein. When we were in college, this was my redshirt sophomore year. It was my first year playing, getting a little playing time. and Rob Bernstein was at tight end, and I lined up over the top of him, thinking I was going to jam him. And, man, he ran right over me. And I just remember I'm on the ground looking up like, what the heck just happened here? Hey, welcome to NCAA football.
Yeah, but Bernie ran high even as a running back. So
now, he was playing tight. He lined up at tight end.
I know. He did at San Diego. But I always tried to stay a little bit lower than him. Bernie liked to get up there. And if Cox latched on, then Bernie would finish you off. He'd bury you. if you went to his outside shoulder, you had a pretty good chance.
Yeah. Two great safeties there, Justin Simmons and Kareem Jackson. Kareem Jackson, the thumper. Justin Simmons, the ball hawk. Sure tackling safety out of Boston College. And, you know, a lot of people were kind of upset that Justin didn't get that contract done. I think with the COVID situation going on, teams are going to lose some money this year. I think teams are being a little bit cautious with the money right now.
Absolutely, and they have to. And one thing the guy has to know in the back of his mind, go out and perform consistently well. And when this thing is passed, you get back at the table, then you can make up for lost time. The big thing is be on the field.
And Justin, that's the thing about him. He's been durable. He's been available. He's played well each of the last few seasons. You know, he's kind of the quarterback of the defense too. And you heard Coach Reggie Herring talk in Phil's interview that Ty Davis in the middle, Justin Simmons in the back. Those guys are kind of like the quarterback of the defense, helping guys get on the same page. And in addition to that, making plays.
The ideal scenario. You got two quarterbacks on your defense, one up front, one in the back. How do you go wrong?
Yeah, so what type of depth do we need at the safety position? I mean, behind Kareem Jackson and Justin Simmons, we have Elijah Holder. He's second-year player out of Stanford. And Trey Marshall. And Trey Marshall, I think he's in his third year with the team. And Trey's got some good playing time last year. Elijah, he didn't see any time last year because he was on the practice squad. But do you like the depth there at that position?
I like the depth and the guys who can play the nickel and the dime and who can play corner in an emergency. Those guys are going to secure a job for themselves beyond the starters. So we'll see how it pans out, but hopefully we can keep a spare safety and a safety / corner.
We also have Doug Coleman, Texas Tech, rookie out of Texas Tech, signed as a college free agent. I'm anxious to see what this guy can do too. He had a nice college career, didn't get any action in the draft, but I think he has some big potential too. So we'll see. Maybe a practice squad guy for this year. I doubt that there'll be room for more than 4 safeties on the active roster.
But the practice squad for this unit is a great place to be because he can learn, and then coming into his second season, he should be ready to go. We'll find out who he is.
All right, Fletch, hey, man, it's been real. I appreciate you popping on with me. We're going to what you up to, man? What you got going on?
I'm still doing the mobile barbecue catering, and sometime about 2 weeks from now, I should have the mobile food truck park open where I have space for 4 to 5 mobile food vendors in addition to myself. And inside, we'll be doing some wings, burgers, and dogs, and ice cream inside. And outside, we'll have the food trucks, and we'll have hand wash stations and sanitizing stations so everybody can come over, enjoy a good meal, and be safe. Platteville, Colorado, 301 Goodrich Avenue, right off Highway 85.
So if someone wants to taste your barbecue, and I've tasted it, it's amazing, and I need to get some more, how do they get in touch with you?
You can, best way is to email gridiron, gridiron.q@gmail.com.
How can you get some free barbecue, though?
Go to Dickey's.
Good deal. Hey, Fletch, thanks again for coming on with me, man. Amazing, great seeing you.
My pleasure, Steve.
And Matt, over to you, my friend.
Steve, don't forget about me when you get that barbecue, all right?
I got you.
Big special thanks to Simon Fletcher for hopping on with Steve. Broncos Country, in case you missed any of our show today, you can head to denverbroncos.com or our Denver Broncos social channels. We're expecting to hear from Cortland Sutton and A.J. Bouye following practice. And at 6:30 tonight, Alexis Perry will be on training camp tonight to recap it all. 6:30 p.m. locally here on Channel 20 or at 7 p.m. on our Broncos YouTube channel. And, of course, we're 2/3 of the way through the trilogy. The last part, the best part, Super Bowl 50. This Thursday, September the 3rd, KOA will have the simulcast. Check your local listings. Broncos Country, we will be on in Denver, Colorado Springs, as well as Grand Junction. Again, that is Thursday, September 3rd, for that huge Super Bowl victory. And don't forget, we're back. Same time, same place tomorrow. Steve Atwater is bringing the A-listers to finish out Broncos training camp. We saw Simon Fletcher today, and tomorrow we've got on Ed McCaffrey, the head coach at Northern Colorado, former Bronco great, Super Bowl champ, NFL media personality. The list goes on. Eddie Mack, fan favorite, will be here with Steve Atwater down on 27 Hall of Fame Plaza, so make sure to tune back in tomorrow for that. That'll do it for us today at Broncos training camp. Special thanks again to Simon Fletcher, Steve Atwater, Sidney Jones, and Phil Milani. I'm Matt Boyer. Thank you so much for watching Broncos training camp live, powered by Ford. We will see you tomorrow, Broncos Country.
Training Camp Live, powered by Ford, has been brought to you by Betfred, Bud Light Seltzer, Ford, and by USAA.